Man, it's good to see you.
Hey, you too, bro. Hey, Brad Parker in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. So happy to have you, bro.
It's been a while.
Our story goes back, you and I, a bit, and it has. I feel like we've kind of like we do this, like we're running, we're both in Nashville, and then it's like, oh, we come back, and then we come back apart, and like we kind of have been able to cross paths here and there, which I've really loved, and you've been a person that I've really appreciated getting to know, and watching your success has been so cool to celebrate it from afar.
I appreciate that.
I'd love to hear kind of more about your, like dive into your background more so people can get a taste of that. But then also I want to work all the way through to what you're doing now, track record.
Yeah.
I want to hear all about that and kind of like where that spawned from, how that growth has been and everything. But give me kind of like, you're from where, you moved here when?
I'm from Knoxville.
Yep.
So not very far.
Yep.
For those listening that aren't familiar, it's about 2.5 hours from here. I moved here in 2017.
Awesome.
Went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, go Vols. And I started out of college working for a company called AC Entertainment that was based in Knoxville. Very random, not a lot of music business or industry in Knoxville, but they were there. And at the time, AC was known pretty much for one thing, which was that they were one of the co-creators of Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival, which happens about an hour outside of Nashville here in Manchester, Tennessee. So I started working with them. Kind of in the first couple of years of my career, I was kind of in the brand partnership space when brands would like activate at our festivals. Bonnaroo wasn't the only festival; it was just the most known and largest. They were doing probably when I started 6 or 7 festivals a year, and then probably 1,000 club and theater shows as a promoter. So pretty big as an independent, like in the Southeast. But I started in the brand space, activating brands at festivals, Red Bull, Tito's, like all the big ones, kind of like ideating what their activations could look like. One thing that we did as a company that I appreciated was we didn't want our brands to just throw up a tent with their logo on it. We wanted them to think outside the box in ways they could activate that felt more natural and organic with like whatever the brand or ethos of the show was. So that was really fun being a part of trying to like ideate what that could look like for certain brands.
How do you put, I want to double click on that. How do you communicate that to brands that are that big and that established to get them to a place to think, hey, this isn't your regular activation. We'd like to see something more out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it all has to come, they have to be. Some brands it just won't work with because they are intentional, very intentional about the copy and paste of their brand for recognition purposes. Like they know that a fan is always going to recognize their brand because everywhere they see it, it's presented in the exact same way. So there is value to that. I think what we would do is the reason that we were successful at getting brands to do that with us, I think, was because we always had a very good understanding of who our fan was. So we could paint a really clear picture of what that consumer was and put that side by side with what the festival ethos was and say, can we bend your brand a little bit just to cater specifically more to this audience?
So you've like hey, we've done the research for you essentially. Here's your end user.
Yeah, like Bonnaroo is the easiest example because it's just such a different beast than most music festivals. Those fans are, they're locked in for a week, they're camping, and it's like an experience. And with brands at Bonnaroo, we would always challenge them, hey, the brands that resonate the most with Bonnaroo fans are the ones that are kind of checking boxes of just the reality of what these fans are living on a farm for 5 days. So an example being, one year we were working with LG, and we were like, hey, let's just create a laundromat. It's simple, but it's going to go so far because one thing that fans want to do while they're there is have clean clothes. Yeah. And most of them decide, I'm just going to wear dirty clothes the whole time.
It's the reason I don't go to festivals.
Oh, and and to this day, it's like one of the most, let's call it recollected sponsor activations that Bonnaroo's ever had. Fans are like, oh, I remember when LG built the laundromat and we could do our laundry in there. And so it was a simple thing that just had a really deep impact, and the brand really enjoyed it too. So
it's so cool to see just that is a perfect example of you guys going the extra mile to understand your consumer.
Yeah.
And put them in a position to be like, hey, what's some friction for you? What makes this hard? Let us solve that through a brand activation is incredible.
Yeah, I think more now than ever, regardless of what business or sector that you're in, with how much your potential consumers, are being targeted every day, every minute by something, I think you have to go the extra mile if you want to be effective in getting to them, because you have to really know what makes them tick inside and out.
Did you ever have what are some ideas that got left on the floor that didn't make it? Oh
man, that's a great question.
Because if you're thinking out of the box like that with the laundromat thing, I'm sure there's some that were like, ooh, if we could have gotten that one done.
You know, I don't know if this is crazy, but we had the thought of going back to the line of just like simplicity really having deep impact. You know, there were a few years that I really wanted to build like basically a 7-Eleven. Where you could buy all the convenient stuff, but a lot of people come, they run their AC all week, whatever, and when they leave, the first thing they got to do is go to a gas station. And I said, why would we let them leave our property and go to a gas station when we could just partner with someone, bring in these huge tent? There's obviously a lot of liability and everything, but my idea was like, the first thing these people are doing Monday when they leave is hitting a gas station to get snacks and drinks and gas. Like, why not just have it here for them to do it?
Dude.
And that's a big one. It costs a lot of money, so it never happened. But those are things that we were always sitting in rooms kind of thinking about, is just make it easy. If you make it easier for your consumer, they'll be a loyal customer.
What are some? I'd love to see the 7-Eleven tent. That would be
Well, I was thinking like we were gonna build. Like build out a gas station.
Yeah.
Like not just tents.
Like the full bodega front.
Yes,
like
everything, dude. Like make it a walk-in experience.
Yeah. Have a cat that's walking around.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is last year I went to Glastonbury.
Yeah.
And it was incredible, a life-changing experience. And one of the things that they had there that I thought was really, really cool, which they are set up a little bit more to do it, and they have enough people that it makes sense, because there's like over 200,000 people that go to that festival, which is crazy. But they had a full, not a tent, like air-conditioned, you walk inside, like they had a grocery store.
Wow.
Like refrigerated section, fresh produce, fresh meats, anything. You walk in and there's a register and there's a person working, and just like you would at home. And they built it at this festival.
It's incredible.
And I was like, dude, that's awesome.
And that's the stuff that pushes like things to the next chapter.
Yes.
as an industry, to be like,
because
this is possible? What else?
Exactly. And consumers are so tired of just whatever the normal is in your business. Consumers are tired of it. I promise you they're tired of it. Mm-hmm. And if you can find a way to offer them a slightly different version of it, you can stick out very easily by doing that. Like, yeah. So, like, I think the next big trend in the live music space is going to be something related to, like, the big sobriety movement that's happening. I don't know if it's THC bars, if it's going to be... there's a lot of just creative, non-alcoholic beverages going on out there right now. And I think that whether it's touring in arenas or it's festivals or whatever, I think that, you know, that it's an industry that's going to have to respond to the fact that people are drinking alcohol less, because it's a big area of profit.
Yeah. So I mean, just the margins in that alone, I don't know where else you're going to replace that.
Yeah. So you're... But they will. It'll have to be replaced. And I'm sure there's another vice that'll come along, you know, federal legalization
You think
of marijuana.
So? You think people will find something else?
Oh, yeah, exactly. We'll be building underground bars again, like Prohibition era. But just to get a Diet Coke and some lime, that's where I'll be. Whoever's serving Diet Coke.
Sugar. That's the vice.
Yeah. A little bit of a tangent, but
no, it's great. So all right, so you're running Bonnaroo. How long were you there?
So I'm working. I worked my way up through acquisitions of the company. Let's fast forward to 2021.
Work your ass off. Work your ass off.
Work your ass off a ton, which is very standard in this business.
Yep.
2021, we come back from the pandemic. First festivals are happening in the U.S. I then work at a company called C3 Presents, based out of Austin, Texas. Produces Austin City Limits, Lollapalooza. We had become part of that company through acquisition by Live Nation. So Live Nation bought AC. Through that, I became part of C3. Pandemic's over. Lollapalooza in Chicago is like the first major music festival in the world to come back post-COVID. And then from then it was off to the races because the boom for live music after COVID was insanely intense, and we didn't have a ton of. We had lost a lot of employees during COVID that had left the industry because they were furloughed or laid off and found other jobs, never came back. So there was a real big shortage going into the live music space 21, and that opened up a lot of opportunity for people like me. Who could rise to the occasion and maybe skip a few steps in their career at that point. And so my boss, who I'd worked for a long time, left at the end of 2021, and I was given the chance to basically fill his shoes. And that's what put me kind of in the role I was at Bonnaroo as the festival director, and a portfolio of like 6 other festivals that I was overseeing, kind of mostly in the Southeast, Charleston, Lexington, Kentucky. And then fast forward from that to 4 months ago, let's call it. So in 2019, I started doing artist management kind of as a passion project. Like, I loved working. When we met, it was it was in the context
through bus stop
of that.
sessions.
Yeah, totally. So I had been doing some artist management stuff in town with very small developing artists. And then during COVID, when I wasn't working on festivals, I was like, let me try and find a way to just keep doing this. And that's when we met. And so I had this passion to work with artists directly, never really saw a clear path to it. And I definitely, at the time, during COVID, saw it as like a temporary means to an end of just to like keep my creative brain going while it felt like the world was ending. I knew that I liked the festival stuff, and that once it was an option to do it again, that I would start working on that again. So that's just important context for what I'm about to describe.
Totally.
So like 4 months ago, I had been managing this band called In Color that's based here in Nashville for about the last year and a half. In June, a song they put out started going crazy in Spotify's Discover algorithm. No viral TikTok, nothing, like just pure organic people hearing the song and liking it, and it kept blowing it out to larger and larger groups. And around that same time, I was approached by a mentor of mine and who was my boss at C3 Presents, Charlie Walker, who also runs C3 Management, which is a separate company, but he's a co-founder of both. He approached me and basically said, hey, like, this band you've got is great. You're obviously passionate about management. Why not just go all in on it? It seems like you have a great artist to try to just go all in. And at the time, I didn't really see a clear path to doing that, and he created it because that's what great mentors do.
That's awesome.
It was presented to me to make this big career shift and focus on management and get out of the promoter world. And it wasn't an easy decision because I loved what I did and I'd done it for so long. But I felt like I was not in a place to say no, that the universe had kind of handed me an opportunity that I had really talked about wanting for a long time. And so in September, officially, I left the festival side of the biz and started on management. And the company's called Track Record Management, and it is a JV with C3 Management. And I have one other manager and partner in Nashville. Her name's Lane Lindroth. And we're just getting started and trying to grow a roster and really focusing on artist development, which I think it has been an interesting space over the past few years because the virality created from TikTok and the kind of instant stars that were created. I think it put less of an emphasis on true artist development and kind of made it seem like there's no point in doing that because you're either going to have this moment that kind of sparks a big fire or it's never going to happen for you because the long grind no longer works because by the time you grind for 10 years, there's been 40 other viral stars that have kind of taken up the bandwidth in that time. And I think now we're seeing kind of like what we're talking about with just the reversion of everything. Like, I feel like we were so whiplashed from everything during COVID that as a species, we're kind of going back to like whatever we can tangibly grab onto that feels nostalgic and old. And the artist development piece is something I'm really passionate about because a lot of companies don't have the time and resources to focus on it. So on the management side of things, and I think on the label side of things, a lot of people have become really impatient because of how quick it's happened for people over the last 5 years.
Let me go back to, you said the In Color track that was really, really exploding through like organic discoverability on Spotify, for example. Mm-hmm. Is that happening often still? And I ask it coming from the place of like in the podcast world, the reason why even my company has worked is because the approach we brought was the discoverability on these platforms for podcasts is trash. You need to get these clips out there.
Yeah.
On the music side of things, are songs getting discovered organically still, or are you still like how much percentage wise is getting discovered organically? I guess versus clip, finally get somebody to drive back to the song.
So a percentage wise, I don't know if I'd be able to accurately give a number. I think the answer, I do believe the answer is yes, and they're approved. They're the case of their song Headlights is proof of that. And a lot of the people at the distributor and just people in the industry at the time that were working on the team that were looking at all of that data, they were surprised by it, which tells me it's not common. But I think as a consumer myself, with podcasts, it's a little hard because it's like I listen to a Theo podcast, which I love. I just finished the Gary Sinise episode on my way in. But whenever that's over, it's not kicking me to it's kicking me to another Theo episode. It's not kicking me to something like a Theo Von podcast episode. Whereas with music, if I listen to a Harry Styles song and I have my radio function turned on, that next song is going to be somewhere sonically in the world.
Yeah, they're auto curating for you.
Yeah, and I think that in the case within Color and any artist that's having organic success there in the algorithm, it's because it's just getting in the right fans' ear, and it's good music. I think good music always wins. I'm a big proponent of that. So if a good song is out there, as long as it's getting played, it's going to have a higher conversion rate. But we just lucked out, and that thing got in the right ears of the very specific fans, and we just went. They were out on tour with the band Camino the last 3 weeks, and those were great shows and a really great fan for us to play in front of. And then during that run, because of just what we've seen organically growing, we decided to take a chance at a few headline shows just to see who would show up. And we played in New York for the first time ever on a Tuesday night. And that was the band's third headline show ever. And they had only just released a song in February of this year. They did not exist before that. And it sold out. 200 people showed up and bought a ticket in New York, which is, for those of you that don't know, that's just like insane. Like a lot of artists go to New York for years and get 20, 30, 40 people to show up. And
there's a few other things to do in the city. It's tough.
Yeah. So that to me is just a real indicator that what we're seeing out there, sometimes when you see numbers, you just when a lot of data happens at once, I think we just call it viral because we don't know how else to describe it.
Well said.
But for me, viral doesn't equate to those 200 people showing up in real life to buy a ticket and buy a t-shirt. And so I just try to not get distracted by that word sometimes, because sometimes you're hiding real fans and real people behind this word viral. And it's like, what does it even mean? Like, what does it mean to be viral?
Yeah, I think I have been really thinking a lot on the concept of like quick to rise, quick to fall. And I think now more than ever that's applicable across various industries, anybody in entertainment, anybody in content. We're seeing so much virality now on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
From an artist management perspective, how do you approach the development side of things now that it's not as underlined as it used to be versus we need these viral moments? Because if you sit here with an artist and you're 5 years in with them and they're looking at you like, hey, I haven't popped.
Yeah.
And you're saying, hey, trust the process. How do you kind of come at that?
I've kind of started, this might be a little bit of a hot take as a manager, and I'm new on the scene, and I, I might be shaking it up a little bit, but I look at virality the same way I would look at getting a Rolling Stone cover or getting a big playlist ad. Those are all things that are huge for artists. They're very like vanity based. They're a good look, but they just mean that now you have 100 people watching what happens next. And so the follow-up is what's very important. And I think for an artist, the number one thing you always have to do, regardless of anything that's happening in your career, any look that you're getting, is you just have to go play shows. You have to get on the road. If it's 20 people a night, if it's 100 people a night, it's whatever. But you don't get to 5,000 people in a room without getting 50 in the room first. And so people get lost on that because people have these big moments and their song goes viral and whatever, and they're thinking, oh, I can go sell the Ryman now. I've got 100 billion streams on my song. And some of them have very rude awakenings whenever they realize that a lot of virality is extremely passive and you're not building consumers. It's like, I think about it like this. When a song goes viral and has a TikTok moment, and then let's say it streams 100 million times, I would venture to say out of 100 million, 75 to 80 million of those streams are people that it's playing passively on a playlist, it's on a radio shuffle, it's in your car, you're not really paying attention to it. It's
because the algorithm's doing its thing. It knows the song's doing
and
what
I think
throws
about it in the same way I think about when I drive to work every day, there's a billboard that I know is there. And I see that billboard every day, and I don't think about it. If someone came to me and said, did you look at that billboard? I'd say, yeah, I drive by it every day. What's on the billboard? Can't tell you.
Yeah.
No clue. That billboard has 100 million views.
Yeah.
But only 80 million of them are people, 20 million of them are people that actually seek out to like look at that billboard. And I know that's a little bit of a weird example, but...
No, I think it's a perfect example. In fact, it's an example that I've used myself. It is... I think the obvious, because we all have driven past billboards, so we get that, and we all can think of a billboard right now that we drive by every day. My hot take on this topic is that we have to get to a point where advertisers start to look at numbers like this and go, no. The juice is not worth the squeeze that we once thought it was. And we've seen this auto correction in industries over the years. In podcasting, the way that it's matured is brands have started to ask for, okay, what's the conversion on this though? We're not actually like, here's your attribution code to make sure that this is paying off. And in instances like a stream, we now also have all this botting stuff that's been going on in the industry where people are throwing accusations around at the highest levels of music and at the highest levels of artistry saying, hey man, half your shit's not real. Half your shit came from someplace in India. What are we supposed to do with these numbers? Because it's so simple to fake. What are your thoughts? Because I do think that we're going to have to reach a reset point at some point.
Well, you know what's funny? I noticed a couple of days, like it was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if they were beta testing it or what happened, but Spotify took the monthly listeners number off the artist profiles.
Interesting.
For a few days, and then they came back. And I think part of that is stemming from this, like at the basis of what we're talking about, the issue is we've built everything We've built every indicator of success on numbers.
Yeah.
But we haven't done a great job of defining what those numbers mean.
Or qualifying how they're measured.
Or qualifying. Because right now, what we are saying is that a view or a stream is a connection with a fan.
Yeah.
And that is simply not true. 1,000 streams might be a connection with one fan. There might be one real fan in that 1,000 streams. And I think that we've got to kind of take the airplane apart while it's going down the runway and rebuild it before it takes off, in the sense of now we've not only got our business so caught up in these numbers, but we've got our fans caught up in these numbers.
Yeah.
So many fans were coming up to me at these In Color shows and saying, man, I this show is so incredible. I can't believe they only have 300,000 monthly listeners. And it's like, what does that number mean to you?
Yeah.
Why does that number matter? Shouldn't even be saying it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if 1 billion people listen to this band a month or if 5 do. You came as a consumer and you enjoyed the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So why would any number ever be an indicator that would push you either way?
Yeah.
Or people that don't get the opportunity because their numbers aren't there. It's
Yes.
that's not fair.
And there's artists out there that break the mold too. The stuff that Mike, no longer known as Stud, is what he's doing. Phenomenal. What
So
an
good.
amazing core fan base that he's built and taken off platform, monetized
Dude, his
himself.
show at Ascent, every dude walking around downtown looked like him. Was dressed like everybody.
Go to Broadway. There's SR hats everywhere, man. I have
crazy,
9 of them.
dude.
Yeah, it's all over the
crazy.
place. Him, John Bellion. I've been a part of his
Yes.
fan base since 2014. Obsessed with the guy.
So good.
Not somebody whose numbers necessarily would reflect the depth of fanhood that he has in his community that he's built, but if I'm a brand, I'm jumping on that in a heartbeat, because if
Undeniable.
he tells me he likes something, I'm buying it.
Totally.
Where does that go?
And what's tough is I think there are companies who understand that.
Yes.
when they look at a brand like John Bellion, they can, without letting the numbers lead them to astray, they can come to the conclusion that you just came to, which is, okay, he might have a smaller fan base than X artist, but he has more control over his fan base than what they do. And their fan base is more passive. His fan base lives and breathes everything that John Bellion does.
True influencer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's this is my favorite sports drink I'm drinking right now. Great. Energy drink, great. At my house, Amazon Prime right now. I'm trying it.
Yeah.
Merch company, great. Favorite shoes, great.
Yeah. And those 2 artists, Mike and John, those are people who didn't go the viral route. Granted, was also a different time.
Yeah.
So, that's 10 years ago now. But definitely slow build over time, but
Totally.
consistent every step of the way, another step forward, and here we are. They have complete creative freedom, and it seems like financial freedom as well. But how do you tell a young artist now that that's the path for them when they're looking around going, or we could just fake all these streams, dude. Or we could just inflate my numbers.
I know. Well, first of all, I think
'cause-
if your brain goes to that, you're probably not in it for the right reasons.
That's probably true.
That's
Yeah.
probably the first thing.
You're not
I would
signing that
say.
artist.
Never.
Yeah,
Not even
yeah.
talking to him again.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because it's funny. The question that you're asking is funny because I have to convince an artist that time and consistency will pay off, even though every example we can just point to, time and consistency paid off. But it's still I don't believe it. I got to have it quick.
Yeah, it's like a simple life lesson. We've all heard that since we were 5 years old. Hard work
But
pays
we don't
off.
believe it.
Yeah.
But we don't, nothing will convince us that it's actually true, even though we watch it. Everywhere we look, we watch it.
All the artists that you would name that are who do you want to be like?
Acting.
Yeah.
Music. Everywhere you look.
I think
it's
there's
people in Hollywood who did the shittiest roles on film for 10 years and then finally got in a Scorsese film or got in a Nolan film and made their whole career. They're judged off of that one movie and not any of the foundation that was laid by any of the other stuff that they've done.
It's not sexy. like that route
Yeah.
isn't sexy, and that comes back to then like all the headlines we see every day, all the virality things that are propped up that we see every day. Those stories are sexy. And like I see it in business, and it makes me insecure about like we're building something long term here. That's been the mission. That will be here we are. We're doing
how do
our
you
thing.
stay focused on that?
I struggle to, frankly, like because especially where I was trying to loop back to, because I think you probably see it in your world, and you have to go to war with this every day when you're talking to artists. The same way that I'm doing this with podcasters, where it's like everything in the industry says, my industry and yours, do this thing, you immediately get this. Do this thing for the quick results. Specifically in podcasting, it's we'll get you 1 million views on your podcast in the next 30 days or you don't pay. Dude, get lost.
Yeah.
Like that's not how the game works. Because first of all, probably not. There's probably some asterisks in that contract.
Most likely not. Yeah.
Secondly, those shows are not the ones that stick. The shows that stick are the people who have put in the time over time, and that has converted into accumulating fans because it snowballs. But we have to fight this on a day-to-day basis. So how do I combat it? I just try to consistently remind myself that like I know what's right, and what's right is what's going to work.
Yeah.
And so I try to stick with that, but it is very difficult in the landscape that we're in today.
I think what you have to do, I like the word that you used. I think what we have to do, whether it's for ourselves, for our artists, for our staff, we have to define the qualifiers. We have to define the qualifying data that we're looking at that says that what we're doing is going in the direction that we want it to go. And an example of that with the band, I think is, and I'm lucky because they are, all the guys in the band, they aren't just chasing that virality moment. So I already have an easy in when I have these conversations with them because they look at it and go, okay, we didn't get New Music Friday. Would have been a cool look, that's fine. But we had 160 people in Chicago that came and spent their hard-earned money from their paycheck to buy a ticket to the show, $15, $20, whatever it was, and spend a little bit more money to buy a T-shirt. And those are the people that we do this for.
And the next time you come back, you'll have 275 people. And the next time you get back, you'll have 500.
And then eventually you'll go to Chicago and you'll have 3,500 people that do that.
Yep.
And I think that is where you need to have your focus, is you need to find what are the qualifying things that you will deem as success or progress, maybe is a better word. Progress, not success.
Yeah.
Success feels like you're done with what you need to do. So maybe progress is better. I think everyone needs to define what is progress for them and find the little victories in that. And those can be the things along the way that when you get to that point where you're like, I'm so damn tired of this, nothing's working, you can look and go, wait, what are these 5 things that I said are qualifiers? All right. How many T-shirts did we sell last week? How many? And then just go with that. And that can be anything. I mean, for a podcast, I don't know what that could be for a podcast. It's a whole different world. But I'm sure the equivalent of that exists in some form or fashion.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it's social following. It's subscriber counts. It's viewer retention. You know, like those are things that are like, these will make massive difference. More so the latter. Like,
or here's something.
Are people watching the whole episode? Awesome. Shut up and do another one. Forget the counts.
So here's a qualm I have with the Spotify monthly listeners thing. A lot of people don't. People that have never looked in the back end of Spotify would never understand this, and this is why I think it's very frustrating. In Color, a couple weeks ago, like over a 3-week period, they went from like 315,000 monthlies to like 285. At that same time that they went from that many monthlies down, their streams per month went up. What that means is less passive people, more people who are repetitively listening to your music.
You're deepening your fan base.
So instead of having 300,000 people do 1 million streams, you had 285,000 people do 1.5 million streams.
You'd look at that and say that's a good thing.
I would look at that and go, that is a great thing.
Yeah.
A consumer would go, Their monthlies are just dropping.
They fell off.
And an artist that doesn't understand the data, they would go, "Oh, their song was viral, and now they fell
Fire
off."
management.
It's like, no, they're doing more streams.
Yeah.
It's just this one
You have better fans now.
anecdotal number that means absolutely nothing that we just plaster to the top of an artist's profile.
Yeah.
And say, look at what this number is, even though the number is useless.
And meanwhile, those fans are also now the people who are more likely to convert on whatever other offerings you put in front of them. Come to a show, buy merch,
it's
buy
like
the record.
The one metric that people judge us on is decreasing, and everything else, people that are buying merch, people that are buying tickets, we're gaining more of those people.
Yeah.
And it's just a farce. It's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you almost want to prune your fan base.
Yes.
Because then you have
the fat.
Yeah,
you don't need the people that are just happen to sit and, they're in the Dairy Queen drive-thru while your song's on radio and they've got it turned down. They're not even listening to it. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's what you got to do. The other thing we do really bad as an industry is the education part. What does all this mean?
To fans or to artists?
I think both.
Okay.
I think that there is this is a whole other tangent, and we're not going to go down this rabbit hole because it might get me in trouble. But for the consumer piece, the education piece, here's something that I think our industry did really wrong. If you are a Lakers fan,
I am.
You're a Lakers fan.
Yep.
How much do you think a courtside seat costs at the Lakers?
On a bad night, $1,800.
Okay. How much do you think just like a good seat, like?
Just a decent seat?
Yeah, just a good seat. You're just going to go as a fan, take a date night.
$500, $600?
Okay, a piece.
Yep.
Okay. Do you think that's a fair price?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's a fair price?
Because if I don't pay it, somebody else will.
Okay. But what brings the value to that price?
The demand.
Okay. Here's where I'm going. I'm just going to skip to it because I might not get you to say it. But
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Sports fans, when I go to a Vols football game or I go to a Titans game or a Lakers game, I understand that costs more than if I'm going to go see the Cleveland Browns because these guys just paid to have the best 5 players in the NFL be on the team. And that's why my ticket's expensive because we just spent $500 million in salary cap to get these guys that I want to come play. Mm-hmm. And those contracts are out there. Those numbers are out there. People know. Whenever a big athlete signs a big contract, it's on the ESPN ticker. Fans understand it. Music fans don't have that context.
Nice.
So when they go to a stadium show, they don't go with, damn, my tickets are so expensive. I guess it's because Zach Bryan needs to make $8 million tonight or whatever the number is. They just go with, well, fuck Ticketmaster and live and all this. It's like... It's like, what are you doing? Like, no one gets mad at the GM of the Lakers when their tickets are, or no one gets mad at Ticketmaster when the Lakers tickets are expensive.
Right.
Because they know what they're paying for the guys on the floor.
Right.
And music fans don't get that.
Why do you think that is? What is the difference? Because I think I've never heard anybody make that comparison before, but I think it's super
I'm probably going to have
accurate.
some people come knock at my door after this, unnamed.
Well, not Live Nation. They're loving what you're saying right now.
but it's like... it's a great question. I don't know. I've always wondered because people...
The contracts aren't public. I'm immediately thinking that's the biggest one.
I don't think they ever will be. But here's the thing.
Do you think it would help if they were, though?
That is my only argument.
Yeah. Because in sports, there it is. That's where the money is.
That might not be all of it, but that might be a part of it that justifies to the consumer why they're paying what they are. Mm-hmm. When you look at a Bonnaroo lineup, or any festival lineup, fans have no idea what it costs to have all of those artists come play. So, of course, they're going to be upset when they have to buy a $500 ticket. But it's like, do you realize what you'd pay if you bought a single ticket? Just pick 10 artists off this lineup and buy one ticket to each of their shows.
Yeah.
It's going to be far more than $500.
Yeah.
And I just think that is part of the issue with the consumers in music and why they get so upset about everything. Prices, like when the whole Taylor Swift Scooter Braun thing happened about her master ownership, like I don't know if I'm going to pick a side in that, but what I do know is that
good idea.
What I do know is that there was a lot of inside baseball of the industry.
Yeah.
That fans have no understanding of how it works, being used to weaponize those fans against one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
You're just taking a bunch of people that you know are going to pick your side and weaponizing them over information that they have no idea.
Yeah, weaponize is the right word too. I wonder if all of that stems from, I feel like the music industry, staying with a comparison to sports.
Yeah.
Sports is very transparent. Here's
everything, dude.
Here, from the top down, here's the amount that our execs make. Here's the amount that our athletes get paid. Here's how they're even paid. Here's their bonus structures so that you know exactly where we're putting more money into it down the line. On the music side of stuff,
it's all secret.
All behind closed doors. To the point where even a lot of the artists don't even know what their deals are.
Which is even crazier.
So it's like the education actually comes one step closer to home of the artists don't even know what it is. So even if you told the artist, even if the artist wanted to explain to their fans why their ticket prices are, I'm sure there's a giant chunk of artists who wouldn't be able to do so. They would just think, well, I don't know, they told me that's what the price was.
Totally. And here's what I'll say is I don't want to put too much blame on either side, because one part of it is companies who are engaging in these artists, whether it's promoters or brands, whatever, they need to do a little bit better job maybe of educating where they got their number from. And it's also on the artists themselves to educate themselves on how the business works.
Of course.
Because
I'm not removing accountability from anybody.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And I just want to be clear. I think it's accountability on both sides, because as an artist, you can't expect the industry to slow down to explain things to you.
God, no.
And as the industry, you can't expect these artists who got famous last week to understand how to look at $1 million 15-page contract.
Yeah.
And they've never even, their attorney's their cousin.
Or just a P&L.
Yeah.
To just be like, where's the money coming in? Where's the money going? Like that. Yeah.
Dude.
They're artists. They're not business people.
Yes.
We shouldn't expect them to be both.
And it's the same thing with like athletes getting out of college. Like, I love it when I see a buddy, a friend of a friend who had recently gotten drafted last year to the NFL. He was going through all these classes to like just learn how to take care of his personal finances.
Awesome.
And it's like, that's good. That should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Any 20-year-old kid that we're going to sign a $150 million contract to should have to go through some classes.
Yeah.
So that you both make sure that he doesn't go and just blow this money.
I know that NFLPA has started to do more stuff like that, and they've started to get more granular with the teaching, is what I've at least heard from guys. Does anything like that exist in music?
No. Because there's not like a singular...
It's too variable?
The teams and the leagues hold together the sports world.
Yeah.
And so there's these bodies that are governing that kind of help put some... just like help form structure in the industry.
Yeah.
In music, it's
They're
like
sanctioned.
There's just so many organizations, and then you have independent artists, and then it's like, okay, so the major labels can be like the leagues, right? It's like, okay, well, what about all the independent artists? Like, you're not thinking about independent athletes in the sports world, because there's not independent athletes that sign $50 million contracts.
Yeah.
But there are independent artists that come into really big money all at once, and they don't have a major label, and so that's an interesting thought. I mean, I've never really sat and thought about what that could look like to put something together where creatives, maybe just not even artists, just creatives in general, that financial literacy, I think, is is the terminology they like to use.
It'd be interesting to see. I mean, I think there's, just thinking about it as we're talking about it now, because I've never really like done this thought experiment either. There's a ton of white space for something like that. I think that would be a really cool thing to put out there of like, hey, you're an artist, you're starting to get some traction, you want to make sure that you don't get screwed here like you've heard so many times. Here's some sort of educational process, whether it's I don't know, is it a course? Is it a PDF? Is it a, hey, you just sign with us and we guide you? Or
I think anything's better than nothing,
Yeah,
to start.
Well, because right now all we have is YouTube, which No shame
Yeah.
to YouTube. That's where I've learned a ton of stuff for everything in my life.
YouTube's great, man.
When you, I also just think like when you start thinking down that line of transparency in contracts, how much of a change would that make in the industry across the board? Coming back to like even things as egregious as the botting stuff. Because now it's like, well, somebody spent money on that. We'd be able to see that there was money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't bot in the sports world.
No.
Because we'd go, hey, where'd that money go?
Yep.
It's interesting.
It is. And I don't think, I wish Ike was the guy that could change it. I don't know what I would do.
Be the change you want to see in the world, Brad.
The problem with that is you probably make, to an extent, you make everybody mad a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Because the artists don't, because that is a move that is truly just a benefit to the consumer. Mm-hmm. There's no benefit to the promoters. There's no benefit to the artists for their financials being out there. No. It's truly just beneficial to the consumers,
for sure,
so that they can just have a little bit better understanding of why their Beyonce ticket costs $900.
Right, and where right now they're upset about it, but they're still buying them.
Yeah.
So why would we change
I think
anything?
they would.
Sure.
I think even if you blew it all open and showed them the numbers, I don't think anything would change other than the temp would come down a little bit on people being like, why the fuck does it cost me $600 to go see Drake at Bridgestone Arena?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, now you can see the whole economy of how this industry works.
Yeah.
And it exists in sports. Mm-hmm. The entire economy of how a sports team runs, you can, as a human, regular citizen, you could just go on the internet and find it.
How crazy is that?
How much the GMs paid, the bonus structure of the players, the salary caps, how much taxes they pay. Like, everything's out there.
Was it always like that? I don't know
That's
if
a good
it was
question,
always like that.
because I don't know. I don't know when they started, but I've just always thought it's so funny because the example that popped in my head, the first time I ever thought about this, and I've thought about this for a long time, if you can tell. The first time I ever thought about it, I only thought of it because I was making a joke about how when a big athlete signs a deal and you're watching ESPN, it's on the ticker at the bottom. It's like Peyton Manning, $350 million 3-year deal, whatever. Mm-hmm. When The Weeknd announces a tour, it doesn't come across the bottom of the ticker. Weeknd signs $100 million tour deal with Live Nation or whatever the number is. Mm-hmm. And I just thought about how would that change my thoughts on live music if that was more accessible to me to understand the money behind it. Because in film, it's the same way.
Yeah. Office.
You can look up how much a movie cost.
Yeah.
And how much they paid each actor and how much they made at the box office. Now, that's a little different because the thing that film has right that I think that we don't, which it could never be reversed, but the difference with the film industry is they basically go with, here's what you can sell a ticket to a movie for. Mm. You can go spend as much or little on the product as you want, but the consumer's going to pay $20 a ticket, and it doesn't matter if it's Oppenheimer or if it's the Wiggles.
Yeah.
Like, $20 is what it is.
Shouts out the Wiggles.
And in sports and in music, we let the product define the price that the consumer's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And in Hollywood, they're like, nope, doesn't matter. Christopher Nolan or your uncle, $20 is the max people are going to pay to see it.
Well, let's push on that a little bit. Outside of, streaming has kind of equalized that in a sense, no? Obviously, you still have control of your ticket prices. You still have control of your merch. You have control of all pricing on that type of stuff. But then when it comes back to like sales has changed now, and it's not as much of buying a physical copy as it is streaming something. So I feel like that's taking it a step in that direction, no? Would you agree or disagree with that?
I don't know, because
more than I do, obviously.
So the specific, I guess I see where you're going. The thing that I'm caught on is at the core, it's like philosophically, bigger artists means I have to pay more. Mm-hmm. In film, bigger film doesn't mean I have to pay more.
No, Paranormal Activity, $15,000.
Bigger,
that was the budget.
Bigger film just means it will make more money because more people will go see it. Mm-hmm. Same thing can apply to music. If you're an artist and you can sell out a 500 cap room at $15 tickets, you make X amount of money. If you can sell 30,000 tickets instead of 500, you still make more money at the same ticket price, $15. Mm-hmm. The difference is we let expenses scale with the revenue.
Right.
Hollywood says, I don't give a shit if you spent 15 grand on this movie or 100 million. You're going to have to get people, however many people you need to buy a ticket at $20 is what you're going to have to get. In music, it's like, I make $15. It didn't cost me any money to be here. But I go in a stadium, it cost me $1 million to put my stadium show together.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe you can argue there that the investment's being made in the product, and so therefore it costs more. But that's also the same with film. Mm-hmm. I paid the same amount of money to go see Oppenheimer, which is one of my favorite movies I've seen in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. I paid the same amount to see that as I did to go see the Ghostbusters movie, which I thought sucked.
Yeah. Hot take, Brad Parker hated Ghostbusters.
Fuck, I shouldn't have said
that's
that.
the one thing that's
going to get... Can we bleep that out?
Yeah, we'll bleep that. Of
just
everything that you've said
title.
Today?
Yeah.
Of everything you've said.
Actually, can we do the shadow on my face? You can leave the name, just shadow, do the monster voice for me.
Well, on pulling back the curtain, and I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going back to this botting thing because the whole Drake thing that's been going on is so nuts. And what's been interesting for me is it's happening at the same time that I've also been poking around in podcasting and trying to figure out a lot of these numbers on a lot of these podcasts I'm seeing. I just don't believe. Frankly, I just don't believe that they're doing those numbers. And
like you're talking about when you look at your own numbers, or when you see how others are supposedly
when I see others'
performing?
Numbers and what they're selling on, I'm like, no, you're not doing that. There's no way you're doing those numbers. I know that's not real. I know that's inflated. There's no way. And that's just based on 8 years in the industry. When I'm looking around, and as I'm looking at this Drake stuff with the botting, I have found people are botting in podcasting in a major, major, major way. And so... talk about feeling insecure. This has now made me realize, okay, so what do we do now when we realize, because it's a lot of, Drake's one of the biggest artists, if not the biggest artist on earth. What do we do when we realize the emperor really doesn't have any clothes? And not to say that Drake is not where he should be, because he's miles ahead of people.
Yeah.
But if it's happening like this, and it is affecting things, what do we do about that?
I'm trying to think of where you would even start to stop it.
I don't know.
It would have to be.
I don't know if you can. That's where I'm at, and like I look at it as the criminals will always be ahead of the police, right? That's always how it is. We find ways to innovate and get around rules and laws, and we make things work, and then they catch up, but then we're on to the next thing anyways. That's how it is in everything. So, and it was the famous example is baseball, steroids. Yeah. Even right now in all sports, there's performance enhancing drugs being used. I promise you, guys are bigger, faster, stronger. They're playing for way longer. They've found ways around getting caught.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll catch them eventually, and then they'll have new stuff.
In a way, it levels the playing field.
Sure. And
the same argument can be made for the bot stuff. It's like, all right, if everybody's botting, then it's just back to being a level playing field.
So does everybody need to be botting? You know what I mean? Like, that's the dangerous question. Is it if everyone's doing it, or is it, no, we should stand on this moral high ground? Or has that just become part of the game now?
Well, you would think that Spotify and these DSPs would want to crack down on it, because they have to pay out, even though it's not a lot, that's a whole other debate, they have to pay out royalties to these bots.
But they also get to charge more from advertisers who advertise on the platform.
Yeah, and those dollars are probably significantly way more. Of course,
and so they don't care. In the same way that Uber's goal as they were growing was to get more users. They didn't care if the users were happy or not. Get the users, man. Grow or die.
Just numbers.
Have more numbers, because then we can turn around and I can go raise more funds. And here we are. And now I don't care if those users disappear or aren't happy, rather. We're fine. We just raised another $15 billion for the platform.
Yeah.
So it's
and like, who cares if you went from your average ride being a 4.5 star to a 3? It's like you had 1 million people on the platform. Now you got 10 million.
And you would justify it by, well, that's just growth.
Yeah.
It's just That's what
It
numbers
just
are.
naturally happens. More people means more unhappy
Yes.
people.
And so this is where I'm at. Welcome to the Thunderdome. That's where I'm at looking at my industry. And it's been a lot of, because of these Drake lawsuits, it's been a lot of, I'm watching what's happening there, and I'm looking over here at what I'm seeing in my research, and I'm like, so if everyone's playing this game, what do we do?
Do they tell you how much? It's like the number is out there. I don't know how true it is because Spotify keeps it pretty close to their chest. But the rumor that has floated around is that like you have to get a listener to listen to like 27 seconds of a song for it to count as an actual stream.
Sure.
Is there anything out there as far as like what counts as like? Is the podcast stuff strictly based on listening minutes?
It's so they have like the IAB is the certification that metrics are given to basically have a stamp of approval, like these are official, but that varies per platform as well. I think Apple, first of all, a download to a device is different than a play. So if you're subscribed, it's going to download to your device. That counts as a download. A play can be categorized, like on Apple, I think it's 60 seconds. On Spotify, it's something else.
And a download's more valuable.
Download is more valuable in a weird way. So it's
intention. It's not passive.
Yeah. So there are metrics and there are qualifiers within kind of like the whole system. But at the end of the day, most brands are not really diving that deep into these things.
Yeah.
They just want to see the number.
Well, let me ask you.
And they're not asking for proof pretty much. They're just asking for like, give me the number. Not many are like, show me the screenshot.
Okay, I know we're probably getting close on time, but I want to ask you one thing. So when using the context of what I explained about the monthly listeners number being kind of irrelevant.
Yep.
Because it decreased, but our growth was still positive. When I look on Spotify and I see Theo Von's #1 podcast in the world.
Yeah.
To me, kind of shocking, only because I love Theo and I think he's a great podcaster. I find it hard, because of who he is, to think that he's resonated with so many people that he's like the #1 in the entire world for podcast consumption. But what does what number, like what is being put in that place that he's categorized as #1? Is it just number of people listening or number of hours being listened?
I won't pretend like I have a definitive answer. I don't.
Okay.
Because I don't know the inner workings of how Spotify's calculating those charts. What I do know that they value are they do look at subscriber count, which I think is stupid. It's an irrelevant metric.
Yeah.
Especially when you go on the YouTube side of things.
Yeah, because how many people do you subscribe to that you don't regularly engage with?
It's actually the other way around. It's most people don't subscribe.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So go to YouTube.
Yeah.
The majority of shows, like even like one of the biggest shows in the world right now, Diary of a CEO, right? Mm-hmm. Stephen Bartlett, arguably the fastest growing show in the last 2 years. That show has less than 50% of its viewership is subscribed.
Okay.
So do the math on that. He could have almost double the amount of subs if everybody was to subscribe. So the numbers are skewed there. It's that's where I'm like, I don't like the metric.
But is that people that, in your opinion, because to me, that's kind of like the passive Spotify people.
Sure.
That's someone who listened to that podcast one time, maybe because the guest that was on, they were big fans of.
Yep.
And then they never came back to that podcast
Definitely
again.
A possibility. Not a possibility. Definitely playing into it.
Okay.
Yeah, no question. So then there's also velocity of listenership. So like on an episode-to-episode basis, you drop an episode. If that thing gets 100 views in the first 5 seconds versus 100 views in the first 24 hours, the 5 seconds are way more valuable.
Okay.
So it's the velocity that you're accumulating views at. So those come into play. Now also I'm sure on
that kind of is a metric for demand because people are just waiting for it to be there so they can listen to it.
It's the same as how a social media algorithm works.
Yeah.
If your video gets 1,000 views in the first 10 seconds versus 10 minutes, the video that got it in the first 10 seconds appears more in algorithm or in other people's feeds. It's the same thing. And like I think that's what's actually been really cool to watch is all these platforms have kind of bottleneck to like this is how we measure what demand is and then we promote based off those things. I do think they're getting that right as a blanketed statement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think to bring it back to like your charts question, there's just not a lot of podcasts that really have impact. Theo is one of those podcasts that does.
Totally.
And that's why he's up there, is because He is.
I probably almost cry once every. I'll give it once every 3 episodes at this point.
And talk about like true influence. Like Theo is somebody that I admire wholeheartedly as a person and as a podcaster.
Totally.
And like I think what he's built is amazing and a testimony to how much people do want connection and how much people do want authenticity, and that's who he is.
Yeah.
I think though, back to the question of like how do they calculate those charts? It's probably actually more simple than we think it is.
Yeah. Because I look at that and I'm just like, that's cool, but like, what does it mean? And I think that's the average consumer would look at that. Like, the average consumer looks at The Weeknd and goes, #1 Spotify in the world, 115 million monthly listeners. Like, dang, that's insane. And then that's it.
And Spotify's been considering, at least from what I've read, like they've been testing and considering, do we want to put like podcast audio download numbers out there? I've started to see that come into play, to be like, this episode has this many, which like all your songs have that. They should absolutely show that for these episodes.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Because right now all the audio numbers are private. They're behind the scenes. Whereas like YouTube numbers, you can just go look at the views on a video and see exactly what's going on.
But there's a back end for you to see your own stats,
yeah,
right?
Oh yeah.
Just like for the artists.
By individual platform or by all of them aggregated together. Yeah, for sure. And that's what you sell on. But like, this all comes back to the bot thing of like, but I can fake that if I want to. And I could even forget going to the length of like botting. If you're an advertiser and you come to me and you want to advertise on this podcast, I could just go, yeah, we do 50,000 downloads a week. And you're going to go, okay.
Yeah, because like if I say prove it, you're just going to show me the numbers.
I'm just going to make something and show it to you.
Yeah, and it's just like, all right,
cool.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the log into the bet. You know what I mean? Like that's intrusive. And now, you're offended. You think we're not doing good business, and then now you might not sign a second contract though.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you see a lot of this in the podcast space of brands come in, they advertise, they realize they were sold a false bill of goods, and then they don't come back. And then that's why you see a lot of these podcasts rotating their sponsorships.
Yeah.
The ones that are real are the ones who are like, hey, we've had AG1 on here for 4 years. And that's because they continue to see value in putting their brand on us.
I've bought stuff because I've heard Theo talk about it.
No doubt, dude.
Just to try it.
No doubt.
Not to say I was a repeat customer, but
Can't bet
trusted
1,000.
him enough in the way that he spoke about a product to order it one time and use his code. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what the brand should want. Yeah. It's like, I don't care if it's 100 million downloads a month. Like, I need 50 people a week to just buy this product, and what I'm spending is worth it. On here.
Well, and to bring this full circle back to, we started out I think we jumped in, I don't know where we jumped in on the actual episode, but we were talking about live streaming. I think that's why live streaming right now is having a massive moment, is people are realizing that these brands have tapped into the intimacy that these live streamers have with their audience, because they've given so much access and they've exposed their day-to-day to their fans in a way that, when I say jump, you say, dude, I'll buy as many jumps as you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So give me 10 jumps.
Yes,
right
how
now.
many jumps? Yeah, so all the jumps. So that's where we're at now. And I think that is going to lead to probably some sort of reset to be like, hey, get these bullshit numbers out of here. Show me the live. Show me the conversions.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. What do you think about what Bieber's doing right now? Have you looked into it much?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, I think that all was very much fostered in the pandemic, and whenever, because I had never watched live streaming in my life, and then during the pandemic, I got into watching Tim the Tatman and a bunch of these like gamers that were streaming.
Yep.
And that's when I realized that these streams, the ones that were good, weren't about just playing Call of Duty. Like they had done this great world building around who they were and what they were doing, and the community of the fans, just how they're engaging in the chat. Like, it's so interesting. And so anytime I see people messing around with live, I always try to watch.
It's also on the music side too. I mean, he just kind of like was doing a little warm up of his Coachella set on there the other day. It's like,
so crazy.
Hold on a second, man. Now we're in the artistry, not in a
behind
back to Bellion. Bellion was doing his BTS vlogs where he'd go to the studio and show you the making of the song. This is like, no, we get to see Biebs turn around and be like, hey, when we get to the bridge, actually da 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 da, and then okay, let's run
and
that.
And it's not scripted; it's raw.
And then
it's
you
in the
see
moment.
it in action at Coachella, and you can put them side by like that. I'm excited for that content.
Cool.
To be like, dude,
Yeah.
look at what he did on the live, and then here it is come to fruition, and the chop on that goes.
Or like, remember whenever he was doing his stream and they had this song in the set and then they took it out because it didn't make sense, or they couldn't get that one part right, how they wanted it, so they just put it out of the set completely. Yeah, like that's cool. And that's how you ultimately, something that we talk about a lot on the management side and on the festival side, whenever, like throughout my entire career, is like just world building. Like you have to create a world. It can't be a walk-up window that consumers come to. It has to be a world that they walk into and that they live in and that they're immersed in.
Yes.
And you have to have multi-faceted content to be able to create that world. Because it can't just be only about the music or only about Call of Duty or only about your fashion line or whatever. It's got to be about 10 different things related to like the ethos of you as a creator or as a brand. And yeah, the Bieber stuff has been so cool. I also really think, you know, he's been doing, I guess people have been calling it like his social posts have been kind of unhinged recently. Yeah. Just like 10 selfies whenever he posts on Instagram or whatever. I think it's all intentional.
For sure.
Like, it's not just that he's like getting a little kooky as he's older.
His team's
like,
still logged in. Don't worry.
Yeah, dude, they are logged in.
Yeah.
But people fall so easily, man.
Yeah.
Because they forget that, like, what's the Shakespeare quote? All the world's a stage, man.
For sure.
Everything you see is being, and I don't say this in like a conspiracy theory way, but like when it comes to content you're consuming, it's all been meticulously curated.
Yeah.
To get your attention and get you to have a reaction or response to it. Even a selfie being posted by Justin Bieber, like the thought has been put into it.
Having a creative mind like you do, does that bother you?
Sometimes, because I wish I could just think about things simply, but I can't. Like whenever I go to a show or I see a band post a teaser for a new record, like a band that I'm like a fan of, I think way too much into, instead of just enjoying it, I think way too much into the strategy behind it and what they, you know, where their head was at when they went for that angle. When I wish sometimes I could just be a fan and just experience it how I'm supposed to.
Yeah, it's I saw a video recently, I forget who made it, so forgive me, but he's just talking about how Mr. Beast has, quote, their words not mine, ruined YouTube.
Okay. Because
you can no longer start a YouTube video the way that you used to be able to. You can't take an artistic approach. There's got to be a hook. Hook them in, quick. You have 3 seconds, quick. You actually really only have one. Quick, get them in. Then maybe you can get to your art. It really doesn't exist anymore if you don't already have a devoted following. And that's a big caveat on it. If you have a devoted following, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
When we were younger, we were watching 7 minutes of a video called Unforgivable Part 13 just to get to a 20-second part that was funny.
Someplace at the mall.
9 minutes into this video of this guy just like in the woods.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's just like the first 8 seconds and the tile photo is just like, I spent 100 hours in a closed McDonald's with a homeless guy.
Yeah, and everything is. I mean, we are all spawn of Mr. Beast. Like it's very clear. Like he's Mr. YouTube, and that frustrates me for sure. Yeah. It's hard because it's but also I understand that the market's never wrong, and this is just where things are, and we'll continue to adapt. And we put into our practices a lot of what Mr. Beast has preached, and but it's also just the natural maturation, I think, of content, because we've seen it on other social platforms as well, where it used to be very, and yes, we're starting to swing back to like a more organic, authentic feel, but it's not. It's still curated in a massive way. It isn't the good old days where it was, dude, so-and-so just fucking posts, man. Dude. Like, they just post.
Oh, dude, Mr. Beast got me recently on something.
It's like, hold on, let me interrupt you real quick. It's like King Bach ruined Vine. King Batch, whatever his name was. Ruined Vine because he took the production level
way
to
high.
a 10, and then everybody was like, well, we don't have pyro.
It's like, wait a minute, dude, I'm just on my Android on a bus.
Like bro, what do you mean? How do I compete with that? And like that's now where YouTube has gotten as well. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the hook things, like, it just works, unfortunately. Like, I saw the other day, and I didn't follow up, so maybe his marketing didn't work as good as I think it did. But
shots fired.
I saw I saw a thing that really got me. It was like, I scheduled this video to post 10 years. It had just been in, like, his drafts on YouTube and scheduled to post.
Oh, the video of him 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I saw
and
this,
I was like, that's in, like, for him to have the now, some of that, if it's faked, I don't know. But if he had the forethought 10 years ago to say, in 10 years, I'm going to use this as an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, he's probably
and he deserves every dollar that he's ever made.
And he's probably the only person on earth that I would be like, no, he probably did that.
I know,
you know
right?
what I mean?
It didn't
like,
fake it.
That's just believable, but because that is, I think, who we've all come to know him to be.
Dude,
so I believe him,
Mr. Beast.
But yeah, man, it's interesting to see that kind of on my side of the fence, where it's becoming increasingly obvious to me that everything is curated and the whole thing is a stage. On the music side of things, are you optimistic or pessimistic kind of about like where we're at right now?
Oh, man. I'm always an optimist. And I think it's because, well, one, there's a lot of things to be pessimistic about right now. And I try to always look for the silver lining. I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to the music side is I truly do subscribe to the notion that live music is going to be something humans are attracted to regardless of what happens in society. Because the value in music and the storytelling and the way that it brings a sense of community and humanity is nothing can take away from that. And I'm really encouraged by the fact that with AI, all these scary stories you hear about AI every day, and then right now you've probably seen like #1 country music artist on Spotify is an AI artist.
I think there's 3 in the top 25.
Yeah,
right now.
and you know, are there bots involved in that? I tend to think absolutely.
I mean, if the artist isn't real,
but
then
here's what I'll say is what I've seen as a reaction to all this AI stuff is what we talked about at the very beginning, is a return to these things that I can go, this is human.
Yeah.
A vinyl record, a VHS, a cassette tape.
Yeah.
Going to shows, going in real life and being like,
Yeah.
yep, that's a guitar. Yep, that's a stage. Here's my ticket I bought. And to see those things increasing as this world of virtual reality is also trying to take, is very encouraging to me.
Yeah.
Because it tells me that no matter what happens, we will always seek authenticity in some form. And we recognize that we cannot find authenticity in these AI virtually created spaces.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I'm very optimistic about the future of music. And I think once we get past the point of being scared about it, that we will find ways that AI will enhance the way that fans can experience live music.
On the nostalgia point, and then we'll end on an AI question because I feel like we're obligated to.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a creative conversation
No,
without talking about AI. I want to see the iPod come back. But I want to see it come back with Bluetooth so I can put it with my AirPods. And I want to see it marketed on the, we're all trying to unplug, leave your phone at home. Take your music with you. I think that would go crazy with specifically our generation.
I mean, I feel like at this point it's inevitable because, yeah, I mean, where was I at recently? These kids at a thrift store in Toronto were buying Tamagotchis. And, you know, you go to McKay's over in West Nashville and a Game Boy Color's $198 to buy it. And it's like,
crazy.
It's like, what are we talking about? Yeah. So I think at some point,
they made it for.
It's like, dude, I bought it brand new for $99.
Yeah, right.
But the funny part about that is, to what you're saying, the secondary market of all these products is driving the prices way high because the demand for the nostalgia is bad.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that? You create new nostalgia.
Yeah.
You mass produce
Oxymoron.
brand new iPod shuffles
Yeah.
or colors
I
or
found
whatever.
my Nano the other day. I was at my parents' house digging through some
Give me
old
the
boxes.
wheel, the click.
That's what it
Like, I
was.
want all of that,
Yeah,
dude.
and they were tiny. I was like, dude, this is sick. And if that still has my Spotify, it's Wi-Fi enabled.
And what's even better now is, compared to what it was when we were younger, you have infinite storage.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just have to buy like a 64 gigabyte
There can be nothing
iPad.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's limitless.
Yeah.
Every song ever humans have ever made, you can have in your pocket.
Yeah, which we do. But I think that
But
the
without having
disconnection-
all of the other
that.
things,
Yes,
like
that.
without opening up Instagram while I'm on it, and without like just enjoying the music. Yeah,
No-
dude,
no
that's all
notifications.
gonna come back.
I'd like
it's
to
all
see it.
gonna come back.
On the AI side of things, and then we'll wrap.
Let's do it.
Is it bad for music? Is it good for music? Are you agnostic to what it is to music? Would you sign an AI artist? Like, these are things I'm sure you ponder when your head hits the pillow at night.
I wouldn't work with an AI artist. I don't even know what that sentence means, to be honest with you.
Well, you'd be working with probably some guy like me.
Yeah,
who's like,
because
I
there
made
is
this
a
AI
person
artist.
behind the AI
Yeah,
artist,
yeah.
which is interesting to me. Because that is kind of like if I always wanted to play in the NFL, but I was never good enough to, and then they made an exoskeleton suit that I could wear and then be a receiver for the Bears. Like, I would probably do it.
That was kind of the plot of The Blind Side, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of when they just kind of put that guy into the league.
I don't think that it's bad. I think that AI is going to be eventually turned into a good thing. The truth is, we can't put the genie back in the bottle. So the bad things are just going to be the bad things. So we either have to find a way to combat them with good, or we have to just accept that that's what they are. Whenever, I'm trying to think of a way to articulate this. It was actually a Theo Vaughn podcast. I can't remember which founder. There was like the youngest AI startup founder he interviewed. And something he said that was very interesting to me was, the question was about AI taking jobs. And the way he characterized it, which I thought was a very great way to like speak to the normal person, was AI you should treat as the smartest intern you've ever had. You still need to double check all of its work because it's not going to be perfect. It's not meant to just be sent out to do stuff without being monitored or checked. It's a very smart intern. And if you use it right, it will allow you to take yourself from being a manager to a director and elevate yourself. Rather than eliminating jobs, it will help elevate everyone up to the next level of management or whatever. And I think in music, what I've seen very interesting uses of AI for is doing exactly that, which is eliminating the time that humans are having to spend sorting through the massive amounts of data that we have surrounding music consumption, and letting the AI do that. Go, like, here is a subset of 1 trillion different data points. And you just go, as an AI, you go tell me if you find correlation or you find a trend in this and report that to me. Rather than me having to pay analysts to sit for hours and hours and months to go through it, AI can do it in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I think that is what's going to unravel things that are going to be really helpful for us. Like, whenever I was right before I left the festival world, something that was starting to become popular was back to what we had said about alcohol consumption, was AI being able to go through and find trends in food and beverage sales to try to help you understand, okay, I know that I'm decreasing here, but is there anything indicative that tells you another category might be where I should double down on? That's where I think AI is going to be really helpful, is the data piece of it.
Less on the art side.
Yeah, I think so. I think the more that it tries to get involved on the art side, the more people will be like repulsive to it a little bit. Because of the authenticity thing. I truly think that's why I don't really buy the AI streaming artist thing, like being number one, because it tells me two things. One, either the streams aren't real, or The streams are real, but it's people who are passively just so curious that they're going and listening to it because they're curious what it sounds like.
Also, is Spotify promoting that in algorithms because that's a very viral headline for them to get if that artist goes number one.
It goes back to like everything's a stage, man. Like they are serving themselves and the artists that they push on their platform, and that is a great crazy headline to put Spotify at the top of the news cycle. And it just doesn't connect because everything I see from a consumer standpoint is people talking about how AI music is so trash. And then for you to also tell me that something completely contrary to that, which is that it's the number one artist. It's like, okay, you're either the consumers are lying and saying that they hate it, but they really love it. The consumers are going to listen to it one time exactly because they're curious, or you're faking it to some extent. Those are the only outcomes. There's no fourth option. It's those three. So I don't know, but I think that'll go away.
Yeah.
I think that's an NFT thing. It's like it's going to be hot for 8 months, and then I don't think you'll hear anything about it.
I mean, the only outside of music looking in, the only thing for me is like obviously the scale that AI can operate at. You can go crank out 100 albums of good enough music. Let's use that phrase.
Yeah.
Good enough music to put out, and you can release that in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And what does that do? Well, it probably just oversaturates the market, and people are like, hey, all right, man. Because even if you told me, I'll go back to Drake. I love Drake. Big stan.
Me too.
If you gave me 100 Drake albums tomorrow, I'd be like, dude, slow down.
Yeah. It's like, bro, I only have one brick wall to run through.
Yeah, I'm trying to drink out of a fire hose right now. You're going to blow my head off.
I would try to listen to it. That's the problem.
I would try, but then I'm going to hate Drake for a little bit. And so it's like, all right, well, then the scale thing isn't advantageous then. So then
the only way it's advantageous is for people who can financially benefit from it, I think.
Well,
it's never going to have appeal.
But isn't that what all creative, isn't that the, like, to me, that's the crux of where creative is at right now, is we're seeing more than ever, it's so transparently obvious that money makes the world go round.
Yeah.
And we're not even trying to pretend like it's about the art anymore.
And if you can, if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of the art, then we can get you a lot of money.
And that's all we care about. So get that. Are you getting that? You're not getting that? Get lost. You're getting that? Cool. Keep getting that. Here's a way that we can even inject more into that. Like, that is what everything is about right now. And if Spotify can go, we actually just tripled our artist base in the last 3 months because they're AI profiles.
Yeah.
That's going to be really beneficial to them.
And then it's like, how many of your listeners are AI?
Well, and then why don't I just start an AI agency and now I just launch, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we're changing back to success. We're changing the goal. And we're putting now business ahead of the art form.
If the goal is just
more
output,
than ever, yes,
then AI will dominate.
Yes.
If the goal is simply output, AI will dominate.
Yeah.
Because it'll outwork anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, AI is about the only thing that can probably put out more songs on a record than Morgan Wallen, but it will do it.
We'll see.
It will 100% do it, dude.
Those boys stay right.
I heard his next record has 100 songs, so I don't know, dude.
Let's do it.
Oh, man. Dude, this has been fun.
Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah,
this was fantastic. Dude. We'll have you back. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Find Brad. We'll put his info and everything. Thank you for checking in. We appreciate you. Don't be one of those people who watch and don't subscribe. Hit that button. Leave a comment. Let us know what you want to see next. Later.